wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk.
We're having a general discussion here on Talk to Solomon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Stan Solomon. I'm the host.
I'm Chief Steve Davis, the co-host.
And also joining us as co-host is Greg W. Howard. What's the name of your website, Greg?
Well, I have two. My business is firstfreedominsurance.com. That's with the number 1ST, freedominsurance.com. And then my political site is gregwhoward.com.
gregwhoward.com. Okay. Wasn't it a Monday Hope or something like that?
Yeah, I had to get rid of that because nobody knew what a Monday Hope was.
Okay. All right.
Same business, I just renamed it.
Renamed it. Even without Congress, Larry Pratt has told us many times, a president, especially one who ignores the Constitution, reality, truth, and the American way, like Obama, can do a lot of things. He could impose regulations, sanctions, requirements on licensed gun dealers to where it would be almost impossible for them to ever sell a weapon. And that's the kind of thing that would be impossible to get rolled back because Congress is not in a position to do so. The only thing that Congress could do is they could refuse to fund the BATF, who is over the gun shops. Now, we've heard that they could arbitrarily say you cannot sell more than one weapon. They could go to court. Over time, it might be overturned. But in the interim, for the next year or two, three, Obama could pimp, as he is a pimp, to the lunatics and the idiots on the left by doing things that are both draconian and unconstitutional. Your thoughts, Greg?
Well, you got to understand that when Obama said the other night, rather disgustingly, before the first child was even buried, that he was going to use every power at his disposal, he probably included several illegal powers as well. You remember that the Constitution has not stopped him, nor has the Congress, which has a constitutional duty to stop him, from exercising any and all powers he decides to give to himself. So, we will see where this ends, but I think that what you're going to find is all Obama... Remember, there's two laws of economics that are immutable and can never be stopped under any circumstances. One is the law of scarcity. There is never enough of anything to go around, and that is why markets are created. The one thing that there's plenty of to go around, you cannot buy or sell, and that is air. However, everything else there is a market for, including, of all things, water. So guns will always have a market, whether it's legal or illegal, and we know that. Marijuana has been banned for 80 years, but to many of these people tweeting about banning guns are probably lighting a joint while they're tweeting it, and that we know how effective a gun ban will be. So, and then the second law of economics that is immutable is the law of supply and demand. All they can manage to do is alter the price of guns and the ready availability of guns, but they will never, ever, ever stop completely the availability of guns with any of this stuff.
Well, they're saying that, but the reality is, you heard Ed Schultz, who is a leftist on MSNBC, that said they should just go ahead and confiscate all guns and send the military around to sweep with metal detectors and find every gun and just take them. Chief?
Well, in the past, there was a time when the Supreme Court ruled that black people had no rights. And after that ruling, the people of the United States got into a war with each other, and they had a civil war. So I just believe, I hope it doesn't come to this, but if the government tries to take guns away, we're going to see a lot of armed violence because most people that own guns are not going to voluntarily let their guns be taken away by the government.
Was it Charlton Heston
Yeah, Chief
that said?
is exactly right. In 1857, that was the Dred Scott ruling that said that blacks were not human or that were not the same class of human beings, and therefore, even if freed, they would not be allowed to have all the rights of citizenship. And it was only 4 years later that the first shots of the Civil War were fired.
Well said. We just had a question here in the studio. I mentioned to you that I had an interaction with a former mayor of the city of Indianapolis. His name was Steve Goldsmith. I grew up with Steve. He was a putz when he was small, and he never changed. But anyway, he was very full of himself and thought he was just extraordinarily smart, thought that everyone loved him, and he felt that anyone that didn't agree with him was wrong. And he has every right to feel like that. I feel like that sometimes. But he said that people that lived in subsidized housing gave up their quote-unquote rights. He didn't use the word God because he thought he was God. Gave up their rights when they accepted subsidized housing. So he was going to send the police, and Chief Davis was with the police at that time, into the subsidized housing units in Indianapolis and sweep them and confiscate all the guns because they were killing themselves and killing each other, and he wanted to protect them. Do you remember that, Chief?
Yes, I do. I remember the Goldsmith days very well.
Now, what I said, because at the time I had the biggest radio show in the city, I had several 100,000 people that listened to me on a daily basis. And by the way, he sent me a note saying, Stan, we have decided that you don't have any influence, nor do your listeners, and so as far as we're concerned, you don't exist. And he sent me a letter to that effect. So I read the letter on the air. And I said, Mayor Goldsmith, and I used a Jewish, an endearing term, which was basically the Jewish equivalent of dumbass. I said, dear Mayor, when you come to take the guns from people that live in subsidized housing, thinking that they're poor, not influential, and without friends, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to bring a couple 100,000 of my closest friends. So when you come for them, you're going to have to get past me. And the word got back to him, I guess. And there was a great deal of twiddle and twaddle and whatever. And then he made an announcement. After careful consideration and reviewing the Indiana and National Constitution, I, Mayor Dumbass, have decided that it would not be right to confiscate the weapons from people who own them legally and have a a constitutionally guaranteed right to have them. So I am withdrawing, standing down, what I don't know if you remember the term, but at any rate, he said, I've changed my mind. And of course I did. I said, thank you. He wasn't talking to me. But I had over 11,000 people that had agreed to meet me at the various subsidized housing units in Indianapolis so we could stand in the way of this miscarriage of justice. There were no threats of physical violence, none of that. We just said, we're going to be there, and you'll have to get past us. You're going to have to arrest us. And he changed his mind. He was an arrogant, I take it back. He is an arrogant moron. He was an arrogant moron. He will always be an arrogant moron. Chief, you remember the times.
I do, but I want to go back to something that Greg said that was very important. And so your story just illustrates the fact that the guns were not really the problem. That people always try to blame it on the guns, but in this case, what was the problem was welfare and subsidized housing, which had broken up the family, broken up the marriages, and caused people to live in that type of despair. At the same time that Mayor Goldsmith was trying to take away guns from the legal people who probably were single moms who couldn't afford an alarm system or a security guard and needed some way to protect themselves. But the idea of taking away those guns was just a blame on the wrong place. What he should have been trying to do was get those people out of subsidized housing, get their families back together, get them some kind of decent living where they could take care of their families rather than worry. Then they wouldn't have to worry about the guns at all.
Greg?
Yeah, exactly right. As a matter of fact, on my own show several weeks back, I had C.L. Bryant and several other noted, respected members of the black community on my show, and we were talking about the causes of welfare and the problems with how hopeless and how difficult it is to get out of it. And many of these folks in subsidized housing and so forth are trapped there, and to go in there, and many of these folks do have lawful guns, or if they don't have a lawful gun, many of these are just single moms just trying to, protect what little bit they have, and of course the lives of their children. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't a few bad actors in there. You get some bad guys in there running around, with their drug trade inside the public housing, like they do in any disadvantaged neighborhood. Of course, they also set up grow houses in very nice neighborhoods too. But getting back to the point, what you find is, for the actions of a few, people like Goldsmith, people like Bloomberg, people like Obama would like to punish and disarm all the people who have done nothing wrong, who simply have a desire to defend themselves and know that when minutes count or when seconds count, the police are minutes or an hour away, and therefore they do want a gun for their own protection, and they do feel the need to have a gun, and under our Constitution they are entitled and under all rights should have a gun in their possession to protect themselves.
Yeah, and saying that, I just read a story just yesterday, and I want to also mention that there are many, many cases of people defending themselves with a gun against criminals that aren't reported to anybody, but it happens all the time. But this story was about a 12-year-old girl, I believe it was in Oregon, and she was a latchkey kid, which means she was home alone, and a man started beating on the door of their house. And so
it's in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. She called her mother and said, "Hey, Mom, this guy's beating on the door. What should I do?" And she said, "Go grab our pistol and go hide in the bathroom closet and call the police." And so the girl does that. She goes into the bathroom, gets in the closet with this gun, and she's just trying to hide and not attacking anybody, do anything. When the criminal came into the closet after her, she shot him and saved her life with that gun. So the point I'm making here is if Goldsmith or Obama or anybody takes those guns away from legal people, they're taking away their right, their God-given right to protect their life.
Yeah, as a little add-on to that story, Kendra St. Clair's reported in the Oklahoma News. It happened a couple months ago. I think it was in October. She waited until she saw the bathroom doorknob turning, and then she shot him through the door. And it turned out that he had not only probably been stalking her and casing the place, but he had been implicated in an attack on another young girl not too far in the past from that event.
And also, not reported in this story, but it's obvious that the little girl was trained how to use this gun, and she didn't fire it indiscriminately. She didn't just go shoot anybody. She was very well-mannered and behaved with this gun until the right moment, and then she fired it appropriately.
Absolutely right. She was trained to use the gun because I saw the longer version in the NRA magazine about 2 days ago.
Gun control is two hands, by the way. That's good gun control.
Or two pistols.
Or two pistols. That's called criminal control.
No, that's called complete control.
By the way, in Alabama, the state in which Greg W. Howard lives, there was a lunatic that went to a hospital and decided to start shooting people for whatever his reasons. A lady, security guard, armed, shot him 4 times, and guess what? He didn't shoot anybody else. Isn't that amazing? Now, there are those who say there shouldn't have been a gun at that hospital. Well, nobody told him, and even if they did tell him, he didn't care. Thank God there was some, well, now this was a security or a police officer, I'm not sure which, but it doesn't make any difference. The fact is, if you have a firearm, let me tell you another story. I love to tell stories. This goes back, I'll say, 40 plus years ago. I own some apartments. I was there. I was not there. My wife-to-be was there. She called me and said, "Stan, there's a riot. Stay away." Now understand, my wife is black, I am white, everyone there was black. She was suggesting I stay away. I didn't. I came, drove my car into the driveway, right in the middle of the crowd, opened the door of my car, stood up, took my firearm, shot into the air once. Everybody remembered they had an appointment, and a riot of 60 or 70 people disappeared in, boom, just like that. I didn't shoot anybody, but I was in a position to shoot someone, and everybody, I mean, people in the middle of stabbing, of beating, of choking, of scratching, of gouging, all stopped and said, "Oh, look what the time is. I got to go." Isn't that amazing? But our dear friends on the left, there's Dumb, Dumber, and Whoopi Goldberg, would not want me to have that weapon, would want those people to have their eyes gouged out, their throats slit, their faces beaten up, their arms and legs broken. They would want that because they don't give a damn about anyone by themselves. Bloomberg, who mentioned Bloomberg? I think it was you, Greg. Mayor Bloomberg says, we got to have gun control. I said, okay, let's start with your armed guards, Mayor Bloomberg. Disarm them. Did he respond? I don't think so. You think he's going to do that? I don't think so. Do you think that Rosie O'Fat-Donald or Oprah or whoever these leftists are, Ben Affleck, are any of them going to give up their armed bodyguards? Not on your life. But they don't care about your life. Chief?
No, you're right about that. They don't care. They're not against guns. They're against the populace, the American citizens having guns, because when we have guns, the government can't totally control us. They want our guns taken away so the government can totally control us. It'll be just like, you know, I worked in a lot of years in the jail. In the jail, the officers, we did not carry guns in the jail. The prison didn't have guns in the jail. Totally gun-free there, everybody. That's what they want. They want us to be in prison without any guns.
And by the way, being a guard there was not a smart thing to do sometimes, which we found out on a few occasions, because there were more of them than there were of you. And once they were willing to give up their future, which many of them had no future, and they were willing to give up their safety because the first few were going to get, you know, whatever. They didn't even have tasers back then. They just had clubs. And there were armed people that could be called. But in that window, they could take over. They could take control of. And in some cases, they killed some of those guards. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right. And also, let me take this moment to say, you know, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of the people working in correctional facilities and jails and prisons around the United States, because it's a very dangerous assignment. And thank God we have people that still take those jobs and keep the criminals in, to keep our families safe from those people that are assigned or been put into prison and into jails waiting for their trials. And also, Greg mentioned Alabama. I want to also shout out to the Dothan, Alabama Police Department. Met some of those guys a few years ago. It's a great place to be, and thank you for protecting the city of Dothan.
And by the way,
the city of Dothan happens to have one of my cousins as a sergeant, and my brother-in-law is a retired sergeant from the Dothan Police Department.
There you go. By the way, let's expand that. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, season's greetings, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, Ramadan, Kwanzaa, you know, the best of the holiday, you know, goodwill to all folks, and may we all love each other, live in peace, work hard to make it a better world for our kids and our grandkids. That would work. That would work. And that doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a nationality, but it does have a source. And that source is God, in my humble opinion. Greg?
Well, I want to wish a Merry Christmas to all the folks who listen to this show. And I'm not big on Hanukkah. I don't have that many Jewish friends. Is it still going on?
No, it's over now.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry I missed that. For those who watched the show, I did wish a happy Hanukkah to my friends on Twitter. I want to wish a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas to all the troops all around the world and stateside, and again, all the law enforcement, and definitely the correction officers. You guys are taking care of some of the worst that we have. And I want to wish a very special Merry Christmas to all the folks who are helping us with Operation Slam. This is our effort to boycott the liberal media and to put them in their place and to control their actions through our prudent use of our consumer dollars. And Stan, especially to you, my friend, because you have done so many good things for me in terms of giving me a chance to speak my mind here, and to you, Steve, who's rapidly becoming a good friend of mine.
Thank you.
Well, and we wish that certainly back to you, Greg, and to all of our families and all of our friends, and frankly, all of America and all of the children of God, which are all the people on this earth. Many people want to assign to those of us on the conservative side that somehow we think we're whatever, better than wrong. When in the Bible it refers to I made you in my image, it wasn't my hair color, it wasn't my nose or ear or eye size or color or skin. It was the inner spirit. That's what's in God's image, and every human being on this earth is here because God gave them life. And every child that is aborted anywhere in the world is an affront to God and an outright sin. And for those of you, listen to me carefully because I don't want this to be misinterpreted. For those of you who make your living or spend your time or back with your influence or money the killing of unborn children, may you die in pain and soon. Is that clear? I hope so.
Me too.
All right. Guns are selling like the proverbial hotcakes. Because of Barack Obama, who's affectionately known to us as Adolf Obama, no one trusts the government of the United States, and therefore everyone wants to be in a position to defend themselves not only from government intrusion, but from the hordes of have-nots that Obama will encourage and Holder will protect as they go and steal and rob and rape and murder to take back what they think they should have. Steve?
This just sounds like all the doomsday movies I've seen in my life. You know, that it's in the future. It's going to transpire, but people are really afraid. They are really afraid this is going to happen. They're afraid that the government's going to take over and take away their freedoms, and they don't want it to happen. And they're getting prepared to fight back if it does.
And fight back, they will. Now, it's easily said that Stan Solomon, no matter that he has a gun, no matter that he has whatever, the will, wouldn't last a tenth of a second against the forces of this country or the law enforcement forces. It's not, if it's one person, it's over before it starts.
But it could be, too, the other scenario you mentioned, it could be the destruction of our economic system, and we'll all be doomsday preppers, and so people want to be prepared in case the hordes do come to your house trying to take you and your family and your stuff.
That is exactly their plan, and I have a plan. And that is, I have a large yard so that as the bodies stack up, I have a place to put them. Hopefully not. But if it happens, it happens. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with Dr. Keyes, Dr. Alan Keyes. With me, of course, today, Greg W. Howard and Chief Steve and you. And we appreciate always the time and the attention you give to our show and when you spread the word. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Hi, Alan.
Hey.
Well, how are you?
My name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the fuel mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put it on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mozy the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's the kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out.